Welcome back to Time Out with J and G. It's J over here. It's G over there.
Yo, what is going on, everyone?
And today we are back. You guys saw in the title, we made trades for contenders. We each came up with some trades, and we're going to talk about them, about like what, some big names that are possible in the trade market. And like like I said, we kind of drew up some trades. And I think I used Fanspo to draw up the trades. We have a lot to get into with that kind of thing later on in the episode. We're going to start. How are you doing today, Levi?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing pretty good. We as a friend group, we decided we're gonna re-download Black Ops 3 Zombies. So that's oh man, it's one of my favorite zombies. So I'm really
Hell
really
yeah.
looking forward to jumping onto that later.
Me too. This will be the first time I played Black Ops 3, and never really got into zombies.
It's
Never
so
really
much
had anyone
fun.
to play it with.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Is there anything you want to talk about before we get into today's college football?
Not really. I mean, go check out Time Out with J&G on Playback. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna try and do a NBA game on there every Tuesday if possible.
Yep.
I believe next Tuesday is gonna be the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup. So come hang out with us while we watch it.
Yeah, it was. I think our first stream was a success. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it
Just being able
was.
to watch the game together, and we'll build on it as we go. Any like struggles we might have had first game, we'll figure that out at each week as we go. Check out my channel as well, Cloud2K. I post videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Sunday, and then maybe a video in between about some other stuff. If you want basketball content, that's the place to go. And if you want some other games, I can do other games on Friday. So I'm doing like a Baldur's Gate playthrough. We have our Sniper Elite playthrough, just a bunch of other games. So go check that out. If you're listening on Spotify, give us 5 stars. It's always big. And if you're watching us on YouTube, go down, like, comment, subscribe, and be back every Thursday. We're moving it from Wednesdays to Thursdays because we are. I don't know if you guys know this, but we always record the night before we post. And with doing our playback streams on Tuesdays, now we're going to record on Wednesdays and post on Thursdays instead. That way, there's a kind of a gap too. Like you'll see us on Tuesdays and Thursdays now. So yeah, there we go. Also, one more thing. The Jaguars have placed Trevor Lawrence on IR with concussion, so he's probably done for the rest of the year.
I did see that, and I believe the suspension.
He
I
got held up.
Yeah, it's 3 games, right?
Yep, 3-game suspension.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
oh, go ahead.
I mean, I that's kind of fair. I mean,
Yeah,
3 game. I mean, obviously, in a world to where you see quarterbacks trying to, take on tacklers nowadays, but it was like what 6 yards,
yeah, it was
seven
quite a bit of a gap.
yards, and even then, like the way it wasn't like a formed tackle he was doing. He would have hit Trevor Lawrence right in the legs.
Yeah,
if it
yeah. If
he
if
was
yeah, if Trevor
running.
didn't slide, he would have went for his knees. Either way, it was
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, you got to figure concussion or possible of an ACL tear
Yep,
in the midst there. But
yep.
hopefully Trevor Lawrence is not. It's not as bad as we all think it is. Hopefully he
Mhm.
can get back and try and help this Jags team next year. Because let's face it, I doubt he plays this year.
Yeah, I agree. Well, after that kind of intro, we're gonna go ahead and jump into your college football report.
Yeah. So quite interesting week of rivalries.
Mm-hmm.
14 rivalry week. Just kick this off. Michigan takes down Ohio State 13-10. There's a massive fight that ends up happening after the game because Michigan goes to plant the flag at Ohio State.
Yeah,
It was interesting to watch. It was
yeah,
interesting to watch. I believe cops were macing players.
yeah.
It was very interesting. It was interesting game to see. And right there, Ohio State then drops in the rankings
Mm-hmm.
to number 6.
Yeah,
Getting
not quite as far as a lot of people thought, but
Yeah, I'll get into that a little bit later. But no, another big game that happened was South Carolina defeats Clemson 17-14, officially kind of knocking out Clemson from getting that at-large bid.
mm-hmm.
But Clemson does play SMU this weekend for the ACC championship. If Clemson wins, they will presumably get the 5th conference championship spot at that 12 seed. And in my opinion, SMU should stay in. That's just my
Okay,
opinion. SMU stays in, you kick Bama out. But, people are going to disagree with me.
right. Okay.
Next big game, Syracuse beats the University of Miami. University of Miami ends up falling in the rankings to number 12 right behind Bama. Another controversial one right there. People say that Miami should be that last team in. Some people say Bama. It's a hard choice either way. Obviously, I think the University of Miami is not as good as people say they are. I think I shouldn't say frauds, but they have the Minnesota Vikings vibe from a couple years ago when they were winning games and
Hmm.
like the margin of victory was like 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, and it was a lot of comeback victories, and it bit them in the butt
Yeah.
with the losses to Georgia Tech and now to Syracuse.
Hmm.
Another big game. Let me just see here. Um, no. Arizona State beats the pants off of Arizona.
Hmm.
There's a funny clip, I believe it's Arizona State and Arizona, to where the mascots start getting into a fight,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
and then the very next play, Arizona State scores the touchdown. So that was funny to watch. That was pretty funny to watch. Yeah, Colorado taking care of business against Oklahoma State, winning 52-0. A thriller in Athens Friday night. Georgia escapes Georgia Tech in the eighth overtime, 44-42.
A crazy game.
Georgia doesn't drop in the polls, but like I said, I'll talk about that in a little bit.
Hmm.
But no, everything else. Tulane has pretty much effectively been it was Tulane that pretty much effectively knocked out of the potential for the last conference championship bid because they lost to Memphis
Yep.
on last Thursday.
I was gonna say
Now
that
the
happened like the day after you said that they have a chance to make it college football
yeah
playoff. You might have jinxed them a little bit.
yeah well I did I did, but no, speaking of Tulane, they're going to be playing Army on Friday. So tomorrow,
Hmm.
as people are saying, they're playing Army for the AAC championship.
Hmm.
Also Friday night, 8 p.m. on Fox. If you guys can watch it, I recommend watching it. We have the number 10 team in the country,
There we
Boise
go.
State,
Hmm.
playing the number 20 team, UNLV. This is for the Mountain West Championship and presumably for um, the last spot in the college football playoff.
Hmm.
Everyone presumes it's going to be Boise State. UNLV has been playing pretty good this season. They are 10-2. One of their losses is to Boise State earlier in the year. I think Boise State only won that by a couple points. I could see this game going either way, but I got to go with Boise State and Ashton Genty.
Yes, sir. Boise State ride.
Hell yeah. And presumably the closest conference to call in the Big 12 championship, we do have Iowa State versus Arizona State. The Big 12 was very, very competitive within itself this
Hmm.
year. There were four teams that went 7-2 in the conference: Arizona State, Iowa State, BYU, and Colorado. Three of them teams went 10-2. Colorado went 9-3. So shout out to those four teams. There's a lot of controversy going on towards the end of like, oh, if this team wins and this team loses, Colorado could get in.
Hmm.
But Deion Sanders has something special going over there in Boulder, so shout out to them, and hopefully they can keep that rolling and potentially play for a Big 12 championship next year.
Yeah.
Um, in the SEC championship, we have Texas and Georgia. Texas is favored by 2.5, but Georgia did beat them earlier in the year.
Hmm.
As I hate to say it, I'm gonna have to go with the Dogs.
Yep. I'm riding Texas.
Texas.
That's right. We're riding Texas.
No, horns down.
I
Horns down.
can't believe you're horns downing when they're playing Georgia.
I hate Texas, bro. I
I
hate
don't
them
know.
both. I'm be honest. I wish this could end in a tie.
Damn.
Nah, my only hope is that like either Texas beats Georgia by a lot or Georgia beats Texas by a lot, and there's a chance that they fall down the rankings and Tennessee gets boosted up and actually gets a home game.
Mm.
But now on to the ACC championship, we have number 8 SMU playing number 17 Clemson. SMU is favored by 2.5. I don't see why SMU loses this game. They've been pretty
Hmm.
dominant all year. The only loss is to BYU, who's been playing pretty good ball this year. And Clemson has had a rocky road. They played some good teams. It's just been a little bit of turmoil for Clemson.
Hmm.
I just have SMU winning, but Clemson is playing for a college football playoff spot. As crazy as that sounds, being 9-3 right now, but yeah, I mean, I got SMU.
I'm gonna ride SMU as well.
And now for the final one, you're probably waiting for this one.
Hmm.
In the Big Ten championship, we have number 1 Oregon versus number 3 Penn State. Oregon is favored by 3.5. What are your thoughts?
Um. Yeah. No, it's gonna be a tough game. It's gonna be a really big game. I'm gonna ride Penn State just because it's hard to go against your favorite team. But this Oregon team is going to be tough. I mean, number one team in the country. It's going to be a tough fight. We lost to Ohio State a couple weeks ago, and then thankfully for us, they fumbled the bag against Michigan and pretty much let us walk into the Big Ten championship while we beat Maryland last week. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna really. They gotta be able to control the ground game. They gotta get Nick Singleton, Allen. They gotta get all these guys running good, and defense has got to show up big time.
Yeah, I mean, if there's ever a game plan to kind of mimic or follow, it would be when Boise State played Oregon earlier in the year and only
Mm-hmm.
lost by one.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys can get the ground game going, get some yardage, shorten the game up, limit
Make it easier for Drew
possessions.
Aller.
Yes, yes. Turnovers are going to be costly
Mm-hmm.
on both sides.
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be a close game. I feel like it's going to be like a field goal inside of a touchdown game. But
Mm-hmm.
also, I do got to give a shout out to Ohio State because
Mm-hmm.
they beat Indiana by more points than what they beat Penn State, and they did lose last week to Michigan. And that
Yeah.
kind of, like you said, gifted Penn State. So,
It
thank
worked
you,
out
Ohio
for us.
State.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ohio State. Now into the controversial part of this college football report. So Ohio State loses to Michigan at home, being a 20-point favorite, and they only drop 4 spots to the 6.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of you know I am a Tennessee fan. If the bracket started today, we would be going to Ohio State. I'm upset with this. I really am, because Ohio State should have dropped a little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. Let me put this into perspective. Tennessee played Florida earlier in the year. They were at Florida,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Beat them in overtime, and they still dropped 4 spots,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Ohio State loses to Michigan at home.
Mm-hmm.
They drop 4 spots. Georgia, let's just pull this up just to make sure I'm correct on this. When Georgia lost to Ole Miss, okay, they dropped about 7-8 spots.
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss, top 15 team in the country, was trying to get themselves in as a at-large bid, and you dropped them farther than
Mm-hmm.
what you just dropped Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Make it make sense.
It doesn't.
Exactly. It doesn't
Hmm.
make sense. Ohio State should be like a 9-10 seed, in my opinion. Granted, people say this a little bit low, but there's no way they should still be in the top 6.
Yeah, they shouldn't. They should be starting with a home playoff game.
No. After what we just seen against Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
no, they shouldn't. Um, yeah, I'm be honest. Like I said, Ohio State is just a weird team because they played Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana are frauds. I'm not afraid to say it. They
Yeah.
didn't play anybody all year. And then they played Penn State. I will give flowers to Penn State because of past years, even though conference schedule is lopsided, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Top couple teams. But I will give Penn State their flowers, but Indiana, like, Ohio State's pretty much saying, oh, yeah, we lost to 1 point by Oregon, and then we beat Indiana and Penn State. Penn State I can respect. Indiana
Yeah.
I can't respect.
Yeah.
And you're still sitting at 6.
Yep. They get the
I don't
Alabama
know.
treatment. I mean, the SEC is tougher, but some teams, once you get up to that top level, you're gonna kind of get some more grace than some other teams.
Yeah. Also, Bama is trying to weasel their way in.
Mm-hmm.
They weaseled
They're
their way
what, a
in.
3-loss team or 3 or 4?
3-loss team.
3-loss. Yeah.
It's crazy. It really is crazy. And I am going to specify this. I know I say this about every time, but how is Notre Dame at number 4?
They're gonna
I
keep
will,
holding that spot.
yeah, I know. And it's pissing me off every week I see that they're still in that top spot because I was watching a video. I was watching a college football video on 3. I forget who was talking about it, but they said that we're not going to look at that NIU loss, okay? Because of when it happened earlier in the year. We're still kicking rust off. We're not going to look at it. But then turned around and said, we're going to look at this big win against Texas A&M at Texas A&M. Week 1. So how are you looking at that win, but then negating that loss? Which,
Yep.
in my opinion, out of the top 10 teams in the country, that's the worst loss. Like, Oregon hasn't lost. Texas lost to Georgia. Penn State lost to Ohio State. Notre Dame lost to NIU. Georgia lost to Ole Miss, and I'm forgetting the other team. Bama. They lost to Bama and Ole Miss. Ohio State lost to Michigan and Oregon. Tennessee lost to Arkansas and Georgia. SMU lost to BYU. Indiana lost to Ohio State, and Boise State lost to Oregon. By far, they have the worst loss, but yet they're sitting at the 4 spot and are going to host a college football playoff game. And you're going to call me crazy for what I'm about to say, but I feel like Notre Dame should be forced to join a conference or they're not allowed to be in the college football playoff.
Maybe. I don't know.
I've been an advocate for it because could you imagine Notre Dame in the Big Ten? Now they have to play some tough competition or put them in the ACC. Or hell, put them in the SEC. Put them in a conference. I'm getting tired of looking at Notre Dame at this top spot, and they pretty much handpick their opponents on when they play them.
Geographically, they would be Big Ten, wouldn't they?
I believe so.
I'll double check while I'm here. I'm pretty sure they're in that area.
Well, granted, with how everything's going nowadays with conference realignment, you got teams in California playing in the Big Ten. You have a team in Texas, SMU, playing in the ACC. You have Stanford in the ACC, I believe.
Yeah.
Conference realignment is just, or like geographically for a conference is just out the window.
Oh, yeah. They're in Indiana. So, yeah, they definitely geographically would be in the Big Ten with like, you look at the Michigan State, Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State. Like, it's in that region, Northwest, all that, or not Northwestern, but like, in that region. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, like I said, I think they should have to join a conference, like I've said before. This is not 1950s. There's no aura around being an independent. There's no, oh my gosh, Notre Dame. Like, no, it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore. They should have to join a conference. I mean, this is going to be a big week for college football. Seeding is going to be big at play. The committee has said numerous times they don't want to punish a team for losing. They're playing an extra game in their conference championship. They don't want to punish them for losing that. But at the end of the day, it's an extra game. You play to win. There's got to be ramifications for it. Like if Boise State loses to UNLV, Boise State's going to be out of the playoffs completely. I truly believe that. And then UNLV will take their spot. I don't know. I just think that there needs to be some type of punishment and reward. Obviously, reward, you top 4 get a bye. You know what I mean? You lose, you should drop spots. Like if Texas loses, they should drop some spots. If Oregon loses, they should drop some spots. If SMU loses, I think they should drop a couple spots, but still be that 11th team in. Granted that they are playing Clemson.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Is that it for you this week?
Yeah, pretty much. Next week you're gonna we're probably gonna have the final college football playoff rankings because the last game of the season is the Army Navy game. That is
the
next
14th.
Weekend.
Yep.
That is next weekend. So check that out. We'll be talking about that next week.
All right. Well, before we move into the main part of today's episode, we want to hear a word from our partner. I am proud to announce we are partnered with Dubby Energy Drink.
Dubby was formulated to give you focus and energy with no jitters or crash, all while tasting amazing.
If you go to the link in the description, it will take you to our sponsored flavor, Push and Punch.
Use code TIMEOUTJG, that is TIMEOUTJG, at checkout for 10% off your order.
Thank you to Dubby Energy for partnering with us, and back to the episode. All right, now that we've heard a word from Dubby, we are here with some trades. I created a bunch of trades. Well, not a bunch. I created about 5 different trades on Fanspo, and I tried to create them for teams that, like, maybe just need one more piece to, like, get into the full contention category. And like I said, discretion. Some of these teams, maybe these trades aren't great, but some of these teams, because they're in the second apron, you have to perfectly match salary, or else you can't send the trade through. It's a whole thing. Like, I tried to get what's his name? I tried to move Nurkic from the Suns over to where did I forget to move him? But like it was like off by a couple $1 million. And Jakob Poeltl from the Raptors. I tried to do that, but it wouldn't work because it was like this much money. It was a whole thing. So The Milwaukee Bucks were a really, really hard team to trade with because of this second apron thing. But I have my trades here. We're going to talk about them. We're going to see what we think, and yeah, we're going to go from there. Now, I did my best. I'm no GM, obviously. I'm just an internet GM on 2K. So if you hear these trades, you're like, oh, that's not realistic. Okay, these probably aren't going to happen anyway. But I'm just throwing trades out here for us to talk about. So, are you ready?
I am ready.
The first one involves the Lakers. I'm going to start big with the Lakers. Okay, the Lakers send a package of D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, who we heard might be back in January, and the 2029 first-round pick to the Chicago Bulls for Zach LaVine.
Ooh.
What are we thinking?
Ooh, I'm liking it.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
So D'Lo is on the last year of his contract, so they'll be able to let him walk at the end of the season. Rui has one more year on his contract, but again, he might be able to fit in with kind of the wings because they're trying to figure out their wing position with Patrick Williams, with Matas Buzelis, with Julian Phillips, with I know I'm forgetting somebody. That's gonna bother me that I'm forgetting somebody. But like he might be able to just kind of get some play time, probably not much, but just kind of be a little bit more of a mentor. He's 6'8", he can play the 3, he can play the 4, something like that. And then Jared Vanderbilt, I mean, he's still technically got like 3 more years on his contract. So that's not ideal, right? But he needs to be there for the money match. And I think the Bulls are ready to kind of move on. They let DeMar DeRozan go to Sacramento this offseason. They've already made it clear they want to trade Lonzo, Zach LaVine, and Vucevic, especially while Zach LaVine and Vucevic are playing so good. So this is your chance to bring in a 2029 first-round pick. In 2029, LeBron's going to be retired. Anthony Davis might not be on the team. This Lakers team could be very, very bad in 2029. That could be a good pick for you. So you're betting on a future good pick. You're moving on from some contracts. Zach LaVine still has 3 years on his contract. Like you're getting off these contracts earlier. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my reasoning for it. And then Zach LaVine, I mean, he brings a lot of what the Lakers need. They bring a guy that can, it's a ball handler, a guy that can handle the ball up top because we've been struggling. LeBron's been having a really, really bad streak. Also, Reeves has been dealing with some injuries. So you can bring in a guy that can handle the ball, that can bring the ball up the court. He can shoot, he can pass, he can attack the rim. He can just do a lot. Zach LaVine's a really, really good player. And his name has kind of got a little tarnished the past like 2 seasons because he's dealt with, he got that big contract and then he started getting injured a couple times. So people kind of forgot how good he actually is.
Zach LaVine is still a really, really good player, and if you add him to that Lakers team, I feel that can only elevate that Lakers team, especially if you get off of D'Lo, and obviously Rui. Some people like him, some people don't like him, but moving him on to the Bulls is going to help them try and identify their front court for the future. And I mean, for the Lakers, they're getting Zach LaVine and who was
Zach LaVine, just Zach LaVine.
Oh, just Zach LaVine. I mean, if I'm the Lakers, if you're giving me a choice between D'Lo and Rui and Zach LaVine, I feel like I'd take Zach LaVine. I feel like he brings a lot more to the team because he gives you that extra ball handler that you can rely on to get you buckets or facilitate a little bit or do what you need to do. And Zach LaVine is, in my opinion, not that bad of a defender.
No, he's not great. He's definitely not going to help our perimeter defensive, but it's going to bring in shooting, which we desperately need. Some more playmaking. Just another guy that can handle the ball. I don't know. I think it's gonna be interesting. I think the Bulls are definitely, like I said, in the position where they got to figure something out. And does Zach LaVine make the Lakers contenders? I don't know. He makes us better, but maybe. I don't know if I look at the Lakers with Zach LaVine's like, oh, these guys are like a favorite to win out of the West. But I think it definitely makes them better, and that's kind of the whole point of this,
Yeah, 100%.
Now I have another trade involving the Bulls. I'm helping the Bulls move on from their things.
Okay.
This one involves Vucevic, Vucci Main, as Stacey King, the Bulls broadcast, calls him. This one has Vucevic, and shout out to the editor for this one. He brought this up in the stream last night, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but I'm like, you know what? Maybe this is worth it. This is Vucevic going to the Golden State Warriors for DeAnthony Melton and Jonathan Kuminga. Now, DeAnthony Melton, obviously, he's the last year of his contract, he's not going to play for the rest of the year. He's out for the season. So you're just kind of bringing that over as salary filler. But Vucevic still has another year on his deal. So you're getting out of that deal a year early. And then Jonathan Kuminga, who I think is in his third or fourth year now. Like, he's still on that rookie contract. But that's another 6'8" wing. You can try a young 6'8" wing you can add to the Bulls rotation to try to develop. Now it's like, because Kuminga has had flashes where he's looked really, really good. And then he's had parts like this season where it's like, okay, maybe it's not fully there yet. You get him on a team that's not trying to compete anymore and let him play basketball and let him like develop his game. Now, the Bulls aren't exactly known for developing talent. We know, especially now they have Matas there, and they're still trying to develop Patrick Williams. But I think he'll have more opportunity, more minutes with the Bulls than he will have with the Warriors that are trying to win a championship right now. Plus, he's already got his ring. He got his ring in 2022. So it's not like it's that, you know what I mean? Like, I just think it would give him more minutes. And maybe the Bulls find something out of this. Maybe Jonathan Kuminga ends up being, the second best player on their team here come like 2-3 years. So that's kind of my idea for it.
And I also do like Vuce to the Warriors because it gives them that actual. I'm partial to 7-footers.
Mm-hmm.
I like my
Vucevic
big
isn't
centers.
7 foot.
6'11", 6'10",
Mm-hmm.
big
6'10".
centers. I like big centers. And I know that the Warriors have been playing a lineup of a 6'8", 6'9" big man, but seeing Vuce out there being able to shoot that 3 ball, and I believe he's having
he's having a career year.
Yeah, like you were mentioning on the
Shot Creator, that website.
Yep, Shot Creator. That everywhere except like the left corner is
right
green.
Corner. Yep.
Right corner. I knew it was a corner. All right.
Yeah.
I don't have that great a memory. But no, it's just like he is just shooting very, very effectively. He's rebounding. I feel like his defense has been elevated a little bit from what we've seen in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he would just be the perfect fit to play center for this Warriors team. That, in my opinion, they're off to a hot start, but they still got to find their foundation.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're on a 5-game losing streak. Like they've fallen off very, very quickly. And like I kind of said in the stream last night, that I'm not the biggest fan of this trade because Vucevic is a completely different type of center than they've ever had during their dynasty run. It started with the Bogut, Festus Ezeli got some minutes. Then you get into like I'm trying to remember who, like Kevon Looney's been there for a good amount of time. Now that Tracy Jackson JaVale McGee had some minutes there. It's like these like a little bit shorter, more athletic rim running centers that like Zaza, yeah. That's like you don't really give them the ball to work. It's not really what they're meant to do, and that's what Vucevic is. Vucevic's a guy that a little bit more slower footed, is going to want the ball. He can space the floor, but they really haven't had a floor spacing center. So that's going to be something new for them. But I mean, yeah, he's going to have Draymond Green next to him defensively, so that's definitely an upgrade from whatever they got going on in Chicago with like Patrick Williams next to him and stuff like that. So I think, and maybe this is the time they need it because this isn't the Warriors of the 2017, the 2016. They don't have Klay Thompson anymore. Draymond Green's definitely on the backside of his career. Steph Curry is still really, really good, but you definitely have noticed a bit of a decline. Maybe they need a different scoring option. And, you know what I mean? They've been trying to do this, like, 2 timeline setup for a couple years now, where they've been trying to win the championships with Steph, Klay, and Draymond, but also bring in the young guys like Kuminga, Moses Moody, and those guys haven't really developed because they're trying to win, not develop the young talent. I think it's time for them, especially Curry being like 35, 36, fully buy in, try to get Curry one more championship before he retires.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And the other thing that it'll bring to it is we all know how effective Curry is off ball.
Mm-hmm.
We all know how effective he is, how much he runs, just the effectiveness of it. And if you give the ball to Vuce, he's not, a game-breaking passer. But if you let him post up on one side, let him go to work, and you're running backdoor cuts and everything else on the other side, off-ball screens for Curry, that's just going to open up another realm of what they can do. Or if you get Vuce in the high post, top of the key free throw line area, it's still going to open up a lot of opportunities, especially for a guy that has the skill set of Vucevic to where like you can't just sag off because he'll pop that mid-range right in your face.
Yep.
He could do a handoff, go to the rim. He could hit a fadeaway in your face, or he could step out, hit a 3. This would just bring a new element to this Warriors team that nobody's seen.
Yep.
In the dynasty so far.
I agree. Next, this is an interesting trade. I don't know how I feel about this trade the more I look at it, but I made it, so we're going to talk about it. This is involving the Bucks Again, a team that's very, very hard to make trades with because of them being in the second apron. But I made it done. It involves Brandon Ingram going to the Bucks. It is Brandon Ingram going to the Bucks for Chris Middleton, Pat Connaughton, AJ Green, a 2026 first round pick, and then a 2030 first round pick. Now, the 2026 pick, the Pelicans get to swap it. I think they get the best of the swap. And the 2030, Portland holds the rights to swap that pick. But it's 2 first round picks, AJ Green, Pat Connaughton, and Chris Middleton for Brandon Ingram.
It gives the Bucks another certified scorer.
And one that actually plays.
Yeah, one that actually plays, but you're kind of losing all the depth that you have right now. Granted, this team is not the greatest. I know you have had them on and up, still contenders. I still am just worried about the team as a whole. But you're kind of gutting yourself from the inside out, kind of banking that Ingram's going to come in and be a game-breaking scorer, which I mean he can be. I'm not denying he can't, but you're basically just saying, hey, we have Giannis, we have Dame. We need you to come in and basically be the third head on the three-headed monster.
Which I think is a perfect fit for Brandon Ingram as the third option, just a real bucket out there.
Yeah, I just for a scheme fit, I like it, but from just a player standpoint, the Bucks are going to be gutting themselves, and then who's going to be coming off your bench?
See, the only pushback I have to that is Chris Middleton hasn't played yet this season, so you're not losing anything there.
Yeah.
Pat Connaughton has been ass. He's been bad. He's not been good. AJ Green has been good and solid. So you're definitely losing the shooting of AJ Green, but you're with this. You're not really losing as much as it sounds like because you haven't been getting anything from Pat Connaughton, and you literally have gotten 0 minutes from Chris Middleton. So I just don't think you're. I think I understand like the 3 players for 1 sounds like it, but when you look at what they've been doing this year, you're not really losing much.
Yeah, I can understand that. I'm a guy that likes a team to have depth,
I mean, they don't have depth anyway, so it's like you might as well go all in and because right now they're starting Taurean Prince at the 3. So you know what I mean?
I mean that's Darvin Ham's doing.
Yeah. So Taurean Prince can go off the bench. There you go. There you got. You go off the bench.
If Darvin Ham had his way, Brandon Ingram would come off the bench.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't like the thing is like I don't know if the Pelicans would want anything to do with this, but like I think it's time they trade Brandon Ingram. And you get a 2026 first round pick, which probably won't be great because the Bucks will still probably be pretty good. 2030 might be. That's like what 6 years down the line. That could be a pretty decent pick. You don't know. You get AJ Green, a guy that can stand in and be a shooter, and that's kind of the thing for the Pelicans is that you are bringing in bodies. You're bringing in people that can play that are healthy. You know what I mean? At least with Pat Connaughton and AJ Green. Chris Middleton, he's got 1 year left on his contract after this year. Maybe he can help be a mentor for a Trey Murphy. And I don't think you're nearly as pressed to start and give Chris Middleton nearly as many minutes as you would be with Brandon Ingram on a team.
Yeah.
Trey Murphy could eat up a lot more minutes with Chris Middleton being there instead of Brandon Ingram.
Yeah. Yeah, he could.
So that's, I'm not saying these are great, but I think it's got something there.
Speaking of Brandon Ingram, I kind of did a trade quick while we were doing this. It's going to be interesting.
Does it work out? Did you use Fanspo? Like, does it work out?
Yes, I actually looked up Fanspo, and did the trade, and it works out for money. I had to add a player, but this involves the Pelicans sending Brandon Ingram to the Nuggets for Michael Porter Jr., Jalen Pickett, and a 2031 first-round pick.
Oh, my. Okay. They're wanting more variety. They're wanting more variety scorer. The only thing I don't like about that is I don't like the fit of Brandon Ingram next to Jokic as much as I like the Michael Porter Jr. fit next to Jokic. Like, Brandon Ingram wants the ball a lot more and is going to try to get his, like, Brandon Ingram's more of an ISO scorer in the mid-range than where Michael Porter Jr. isn't. So I just don't know if Brandon Ingram's a better player. But I don't know if like his fit next to Jokic in a Denver offense is going to be nearly as good as what they have with Michael Porter Jr.
See, I kind of figured you were going to say something like that, but the reasoning for this is when Jokic is off the floor, the Nuggets are ass.
That's true. That's very, very true. That's very, very true.
Let's be honest. They're ass. I feel like you could supplement someone in for, like, you could start them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, X amount of minutes in, you take Ingram to the bench.
Put who in?
The bench in. I don't know the Nuggets
Exactly.
lineup.
Exactly.
But you bring someone in for Ingram, let him sit for a couple minutes, and then you give Jokic that rest that he needs. Then you
hmm
put Ingram in and say, Ingram, go do what you got to do, and Ingram can help supplement the the gap that's going to be there when Jokic is off the floor.
I think you're forgetting who runs that second unit there in Denver. Russell Westbrook. So Russell Westbrook and Brandon Ingram, how's that fit look on the court?
I like it.
Okay. All
I
right.
like it.
Okay. All right. Um, this is a trade here. I this is definitely a weird one, but I think right now the Trailblazers have to capitalize and sell high on Robert Williams, because he's playing pretty good, but we know Robert Williams is going to get injured. It's unfortunately it's what happens. I think they need to sell high on it right now, and I think they sent him to Phoenix for Nurkic at 2026 and 2031 second round pick.
Ooh.
You get a couple later picks. You got a guy like Nurkic who they got the same amount of time left on their contracts, like both one more year after this year. But Nurkic is usually just a little bit healthier. And now that Donovan Clingan's going to be out for a couple weeks, DeAndre Ayton's always knick-knack with some injuries. You're going to get at least a more substantially healthy center. Because like all three of the centers, well, two of the centers up in Portland are kind of injury riddled, and then Donovan Clingan's still a rookie and he's going through his injury. So you just kind of need a body down there at the center spot. And I think Nurkic should just be more just a more consistent that you're like, okay, he's gonna play. You know what I mean? And I think that's what this kind of pretty much what it is. I just think the Suns are gonna want to buy high because Nurkic has been ass, so you might as well try to get a guy that is a boom or bust. He's gonna be really, really good, and then he's gonna be out for 4 months. And he's gonna be really, really good. And so that's my reason behind that one.
I'm kind of expecting Rob Williams to get traded. I did
Mm-hmm.
not think you were going to say the Suns.
Yeah,
That kind of caught me off guard. But no,
they need it.
when Rob Williams is fully healthy, he's a different type of monster.
Mm-hmm.
As a Celtics fan, I've seen that firsthand. But it's when he's healthy. He's had
Yeah.
a lot of injury problems ever since his last year in Boston. If he can ever get fully healthy this year for that Suns team, it's going to be hard to stop the Suns.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Because Rob Williams is that he's undersized at like 6'8", 6'9",
Mm-hmm.
but he's an athletic freak, can block shots, throw down lobs.
Mm-hmm.
Underrated passer,
Mm-hmm.
underrated passer. But yeah, no, that trade is interesting, and I kind of like it.
All right, my last trade. This was kind of like a. Let me just mix some shit up, right? It involves the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Brooklyn
Boy.
Nets.
Oh boy.
It sees the Minnesota Timberwolves trading Julius Randle and Mike Conley to the Brooklyn Nets for Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith. Cam Johnson's a much, much, much better fit next to Rudy Gobert than Julius Randle is, and you're bringing in some bench help with Dorian Finney-Smith because the bench for Minnesota has been bad. It's been really, really bad. So you're bringing in some bench help, a guy that can kind of defend a lot of different positions, and play his role, defend a lot of different positions, can make some shots. And then Cam Johnson has been phenomenal this season shooting the ball and even defensively. Like, he's really taken a big step. This could be selling high for the Brooklyn Nets because you're going to trade these guys anyway. You're going to trade these two. You're going to trade Dennis Schroeder. I tried to do a Dennis Schroeder trade, was having a hard time finding one. They've even reportedly want to trade Cam Thomas because they don't know how much money he's worth, really. And, that's a whole other conversation. But you're going to bring in a guy like Julius Randle, right? And Mike Conley, he's a vet. They both got 2 years on their deal, like this year and next year. Mike Conley, like I said, it could be a veteran to help these young guys in the locker room because right now the Nets don't have a lot of that. And Mike Conley's been around for a long, long time. Julius Randle, multiple times in his career, has went to a bad team and started a culture. He did it on the Pelicans, and he did it on the Knicks. The whole Knicks, as we know it right now, started because Julius Randle went there.
Yeah.
They got Julius Randle and then started building pieces from there. The Nets have a lot of money this coming free agency. And with the new rules, you have to spend like 90% of your cap every year. It's just how the rules work. So they're going to bring in a big name free agent. And right now, Jimmy Butler's like the guy people are talking about. I would much prefer Julius Randle on this Nets team than Jimmy Butler. because you're gonna get those big explosive games out of Julius Randle. Where Jimmy Butler, we just don't really know. And I think Jimmy Butler, I think Julius Randle wants to win as well. But I think that Jimmy Butler's going to want to go to a place he can win right now. I think Julius Randle is more the guy you can build a culture around because he's
Yeah,
going to be out there. He's going to be putting his heart on the line. He's going to be wearing his emotions on his sleeve. He's going to be getting big shots, hitting big shots, making big buckets, and he's going to have his own team until they start putting pieces around him. And with a guy like Julius Randle, we see they can still be bad enough to have a lottery pick. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it could be theoretically, if they trade Dennis Schroeder, Mike Conley, Cam Thomas, Zaire Williams at the 3, Julius Randle, Nick Claxton, that's still gonna be a lottery team. But
yeah,
at least you have something to sell tickets with Julius Randle and Cam Thomas, and you can start building a culture by getting good players in there.
yeah. I like the trade.
Mm-hmm.
For Mike Conley's sake, I feel like he'll play 1 year and then get his contract bought out.
I think he's pretty much done.
Yeah, he'll be a one and done, get his contract bought out because I feel like he wants to win a championship.
100%.
That's why he went to Minnesota and wins. If his contract does get bought out, hopefully it does, in my opinion, because I want to see him get that ring for all the stuff he went through with the Grizzlies. But no, but overall as a trade, it's not bad. I mean, like you said,
I just want to do something because the Timberwolves have not been good at all,
no,
and it's obvious this Randall, Rudy Gobert, Anthony Edwards fit is not working because they had that big play where they were all at each other on the court, and it's just the fit's not working. Julius Randle hasn't been very good, and I'm like, it's just I know it's probably not realistic they move him this quickly, but it's like in my fantasy world, just move on, bring in Cam Johnson, who's just gonna be a much better fit in that 4 role. That Julius Randle will be next to Rudy Gobert and Dorian Finney-Smith. Like I said, a 6'7" wing that can just kind of defend a lot of positions and just could bring more. He's just like a taller version of Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and you can have a better defensive. You're bringing in more defense with this as well. Like you're just gonna help your
yeah,
defense, and I just think it's all around. I think for the Timberwolves, it's a fantastic deal to be able to move on from Julius Randle and get these pieces. It's just about if the Nets want to buy into the Julius Randle sweepstakes.
yeah, no. If I'm the Nets, I've seen what he did with the Pelicans and then what he did with the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a culture to be built in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And Randall could be the person that starts to build it because I mean, he is technically one of the Kobe disciples. He was on one of the
Yeah.
last teams before Kobe, retired.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, this is getting a little off track, but I remember a story that Kobe said when Randall and Kevin Garnett, I think it was like Kevin Garnett's last year in the league, Garnett started barking at him, saying something to him, and Randall just turned right around, got right in his chest. And someone asked, what do you think of Randall and his decision to do that? And Randall was being a grown ass man. He was
Yeah.
being Julius Randall.
Yeah.
And I feel like Julius Randall is the type of person that, like we've seen before, turn a franchise around or help turn it around and get in the right direction. If Brooklyn has the opportunity to do it, I say they do it because let's be honest, Cam Johnson is not that type of guy to turn a franchise around.
Right, yeah. And you got to sell high on Cam Johnson. He's having a career,
Yep.
pretty much a career year. Send him to a contender that's trying to really find their pieces. And I mean, wouldn't it be funny? This Julius Randle's going to single handedly save the whole city of New York. He saved the Knicks. Now he's going to save the Nets. Bro, he's like, I'm going to save this damn city. I'm gonna do it. Oh man,
Bro, Julius Randle is the king of New York.
yeah. Hey, he might be. But that's all the trades I had. I just wanted to build up some trades, and I figured it'd be fun to talk about. Because nobody technically, I don't think anybody can get traded till a lot of people can't get traded until December 15th because that's when the recently signed restriction ends and people that just signed contracts can then officially get traded. But that's not this coming Sunday, but the following Sunday. So in 2 weeks we might have some trades going down, and then obviously the trade deadline's February. So it's getting out there. It's getting close.
Yes, there's also another thing I do want to say about that trade. Let me just pull it up real quick. Like I said, Ingram is on the last year of his deal.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Porter Jr. still has 3 years left on his. This gives the Nuggets an opportunity to get out from under that money that they're going to have to pay Michael Porter Jr.
That's true. But if you're the Nuggets, you'd probably want to re-sign him, though, right? You'd probably want to re-sign Brandon Ingram. Like, if you're trading for Brandon Ingram, you're probably going to want to re-sign him, or else you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see the avenue of that, but yeah. Granted, they could just be trying to trade in and try and get someone like Brandon Ingram to possibly take them over the top, but
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, I doubt if this deal does get down. I don't think a first round pick is going to be involved. If they do have a second, I think a second's going to be done from the Nuggets. But we just have to wait and see.
Yeah. Well, that's all the trades I had. Is there anything you really want to talk about? We didn't have too much news to start today.
Um, yeah, no, not really. Bo
Okay.
Nix for Rookie of the Year.
Hey, yeah, we'll have to revisit some NFL conversations here soon because it's been fun. It's been fun. Um, your team's really really good. My team's been kind of turning around for some reason. I don't know. Um,
Hey, they're going to win out and go 10-7
that's right.
or
Yeah,
10-8
yeah.
or
It's
whatever
a little bit of a
it is.
shorter episode today, but that's okay. You see us on Tuesdays now, so you get it. We were on there for what, like 2.5 hours on Tuesday. So if you want to
Yeah.
hang with us for a while, join us on Tuesdays, and yeah, we'll see you from there.
Yeah,
Um,
and if you're lucky, I might be changing location 3 times in
that's
one
right.
go.
That was pretty funny. That was pretty
That
funny.
the fedora made an appearance.
Yeah, if you don't know, just go and play back. Search Time Out with J&G. We're on there. You can rewatch that stream. It's still going to be on there. And then, like I said, every Tuesday, 7 o'clock, about as long as there's a game there, we're going to be streaming on Playback. So, yeah, come check us out.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys watching this week's episode of Time Out with J&G, and we
Whoa,
will
whoa,
see
whoa,
you
whoa,
next.
whoa, whoa,
Oh,
whoa,
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 whoa.
whoa, whoa, whoa! What about the Thursday night football game?
Oh, my God. I almost completely. I'm so glad you said that. Wow. You guys almost didn't get the Thursday night football game.
Yeah,
Okay.
even though I'm like right 0% of the time.
All right. Thursday night football. As you're watching this, it'll be tonight at 8:15. Packers at Lions. Who do you have?
This was a tough one because I like the Packers and what they've been cooking up.
Mm-hmm.
But the Lions have looked pretty unstoppable lately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Dan Campbell's got Detroit turned around. Dan Campbell is the king of Detroit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Besides Eminem.
Yeah, him and Eminem are the kings. But no, I want to go with the Packers. That's what my gut's telling me to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna have to go with the Lions because they are just on an absolute tear this year.
All right. I'm going to fade you, and I'm going to go to Packers then.
Oh, okay.
Now, we'll see which one of us is right. And then if you want to see Levi's prediction for the rest of Week 14 on Sunday, check out. It'll be on Sunday about 9-10 a.m. I will release the short, so check that out. Now, that will do it for this week's episode of Time Out with J&G. We appreciate you guys watching, and we will see you next Thursday. Peace.